welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Broiler Chicken Show. Back. Happy, where are we here? Sunday, TGIS. I don't know if that works or not. 27th of April. This is literally the day before Armageddon in my country. I literally find out today, well, really tomorrow, whether I live in a CCP-controlled communist country, which is very, very realistic, or we just looked over the brink of ideological disaster, and we backed away from the brink, and we still want to be a capitalist, liberty-centered society. I tell you, this is an absolute threshold. We are like literally sitting right on the knife's edge. And judging by what you've seen in the 20th century and the way countries can dissolve into dictatorships, into totalitarian dictatorships at that, the way that countries can dissolve into war zones at the drop of the hat. I remember 1986, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was 86. Sarajevo Winter Olympics. I'm almost positive it was 1986 because I think I remember the Winter Olympics in like 88 was in Calgary or something like that. Might have that. I know I was in LA for the 84 Olympics. But anyway, through this Sarajevo Olympics, it's going to drive me crazy if I don't know. Sarajevo Olympics. Through the Olympics, they actually build 1984. Oh, really interesting. Okay. So it was the same year that the LA Olympics were? That's interesting. I didn't realize that. Anyway, literally through this Olympics event, they hailed Sarajevo. Oh, thank you, Andre. They hailed this as like the ideal society for the new century, and how it was a model, how everybody got along. And of course, we all know that this turned into an absolute disaster. And oh God, there was like day after day after day of citizens walking in the streets and just being picked off by snipers, and just literally on nightly news, you watch people being murdered right in front of your eyes, day after day after day. It just went on and on and on. And I suppose you could argue same thing now happening with Ukraine, although I think everybody knew that Ukraine was slightly corrupt. So you run a really corrupt society, so eventually it's going to come back to haunt you. You have big U.S. senators, then Biden, then vice president, I suppose, controlling positions in national utilities. No, that's not going to get people's ire, is it? So, but anyway, the point of the matter is, don't fool yourself here, people. I could very easily see this country, Canada, actually turn into a Ukraine scenario. And what I find fascinating is how the political party that's basically propped up by the CCP doesn't seem to have any qualms with this whatsoever. And they're openly flouting the fact that they're going to go in court overseas, Rothschilds, banksters, all that kind of talk. And then keep in mind, this guy Carney is heavily in bed with the CCP. And I think he basically wants to shut the door on American automobile manufacturers and that whole relationship, and literally open the floodgates for Chinese cheap EVs to just pour into the country. And I think probably he's going to make combustion engine sales outright illegal in this country. Anyway, I mean, tumultuous times. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, you're right. With regard to Sarajevo, you're absolutely right. And that's the interesting thing about China is that we actually have a very similar simmering issue underneath the ground. And I could very easily see that if the CCP type people try to use a heavy arm in Quebec, that could absolutely blow up in their faces. The English speaking portion of this country, they're really agreeable and they're polite and they're, diplomatic. But I'll tell you, the French Canadians, you back them into a corner and oh boy, all hell breaks loose. Anyway, as I said, to start off the broadcast, this is a very historic event in actually the history of North America. And for any Canadians who are watching this, and actually it was interesting. I was talking to some people earlier and they had no idea about this. Be really interesting to see a big house. I thought you were short that thing. Long, short, long, short. I mean, yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Mr. Trump, he's gone full blitz. It's almost like, if Adolf Hitler, when he was elected to power, like instantly the next day, all right, let's get the gas chambers up and running. I've had this idea while I was sitting in prison called the final solution. Let's go. Like right out of the gate. Because Trump, he only has 2 years, and it's interesting. They on this congressional break, a lot of the Republican senators and congressmen and stuff had to go back to their constituents. And oh boy, normally we have like town hall meetings, right? And all that kind of stuff. And they actually started to cancel town hall meetings. And the advisory was don't schedule, if you're a Republican congressman, don't schedule any town hall meetings right now. You're going to get murdered. I mean, I can't believe this world that we're living in. It's literally going to hell in a handbasket. Oh God. And the worst part about it for a guy like me is it might actually be the end of all these, social media posts and all this kind of stuff because this Carney guy who could technically become a nice little autocrat in this country here in the not too distant future, like literally tomorrow. He has openly said that he's going to go after social media, and wouldn't even be surprised to find out that something like Twitter is actually outlawed in China. Would not surprise me one bit. So get ready, folks. This is the really bad. If there was like a 4 or 5 year window where, ahead of time, if you had sort of said, you know what, that period of time right there, I'm going to get a spaceship and I'm going to park it just on the other side of the moon. And I'm just going to have enough provisions to wait out maybe 4 or 5 years. And then I'll come back to Earth, say around 2032, maybe 2033, and we'll see what the hell the place looks like then. I'll tell you, the next 4 or 5 years, I'm already starting to see tweets and stuff like this. Trump in 2028. So if he's already talking about that now, and he's only 6 months into the term, just imagine how insufferable this is going to be right around 2028. This is going to be an absolute mess. So get ready, folks. And the worst part about all of this is it wouldn't be so bad if I suppose if this Carney guy was sort of like, you know what, yeah, screw the US, I'm CCP, or I like communism, fuck you to capitalism, this is just the way it's going to be. Then at least people would have a pretty good idea of what he's really about. But, at the end of the day, what he's really about, ironically enough, not a heck of a lot, unlike the Chinese and also Mr. Trump, is they're all about just taking as much money from you as possible. As much anywhere they can possibly get it. And the guy in my country here, who potentially, like I said, is going to become an autocrat tomorrow. he has openly said that the whole green stuff, it's all bullshit. But it's a great way to make money. If you just ram a message down the public's throat and just keep ramming and keep ramming and keep ramming. Oh, wait a minute. This sounds like something else. And the key is in this Western civilization, and I think the Rothschilds learned this like 500-600 years ago, if not longer. The key to this is you got to go through the government. And you got to get the government on side. As soon as you get the government on side, then the government strong arms the population. And of course, they have the power of taxation. And taxation right now, of course, is the sort of ultimate weapon to either completely destroy somebody, which it wouldn't surprise me if they try and do that to me, although I don't really have that much of a net worth. So it's kind of tough to destroy a guy who's already poor. They always say those whom the gods wish to destroy first make drunk with power. People just become over the top, rich or successful, tons of girls sitting on their faces, all that kind of stuff. And then the gods take that away. So since I don't have it to begin with, I don't know whether I have that much to worry about. It's pretty hard. You can't get too hurt falling from the bottom. Anyway, I tell you, man, tumultuous times, and there's a start to the video. I bet you that tripped up Winnie the Pooh's algorithms. That tripped up, Carney the Pooh algorithms. And ironically enough, I also hit Trump the Pooh, Orange Pooh algorithms. Orange Pooh, Orange the Pooh. Anyway, oh man, what a world we live in. I can't write better fiction than reality. And if anything, probably what we're seeing out of the market is probably a good testament to that. To be honest with you, I was kind of hoping to see a bit more fear. I'm a little disappointed. We didn't get as much fear as I was really hoping for there. And if anything, that kind of worries me a little bit because, V bottoms by definition like to be tested. And I think the entire market just went and V bottomed, including crypto and stocks and everything. So, if anything, I'm not entirely convinced that this is the new bull market and away we go. If anything, actually my tweets out that I've been putting out here, I kind of like this take on it. It's the weekly sort of Bitcoin take. This was a V top. We all know V tops and V bottoms must be tested. This also was a V bottom. And we know by definition, V bottoms, V tops like to be tested. So I might argue that for the time being, since we don't really have any structural signals in here, this is just nothing more than a trading range. I will say though, the video that I did last week, we were losing 13 EMA was comfortably below 30 SMA here, and we were losing this moving average. It was getting a little tenuous there. Contentious, tenuous, something like that. It's interesting. I was kind of half expecting this kind of price action, and I wouldn't be surprised. And we were kind of kicking around this idea in the TRI lounge this morning, although I do notice TRI has turned very, very quiet these days. I don't know whether that's just a function of poor leadership on our part or a function of the broader sort of speculating community itself is quieted up quite a bit. One thing I absolutely worry about, I worry sick, is that I think that people constantly are looking for that sort of savior, that person that knows exactly what's going to happen, and they don't really need to think anymore. All they got to do is just follow what this man, woman, houseplant, whatever says, burning bush, and they'll do fine. And I'm not that guy. It sucks, but I'm just not that guy. And I do think to a certain degree, when you start doing some analysis and you start picking levels and the market moves into those levels and then it starts turning and people start thinking, oh my God, this guy knows everything. Oh my God, he's awesome. Oh yeah, buy his course and all that kind of talk. You're almost setting yourself up for failure because I've told you all repeatedly, you will never, ever, ever be right 100% of the time. It just doesn't happen. And if anything, by definition, right, we humans, we are flawed by definition. If we weren't, then we would not be emotional creatures that we are. And I suppose we'd all be Vulcans, right? But we are emotional creatures. We do have opinions. Sometimes the opinions are absolutely outlandish, even borderline stupid. But that is who we are as humans. And even the smartest among us have opinions, and you're not always going to be right. If anything, what's so ironic about the market and about actual human history is you can't write better fiction, i.e., I think that this is what's going to happen, than what actually does happen in reality. Look at the fucking insanity around this whole Trump coin and the dinner and all that kind of stuff. I mean, for the longest time, that was utter and complete fraud. Well, no, fraud's not the right word. Ethical malfeasance, I think is the best term. You want to get all wordy. But I mean, you could really argue just outright corruption. Politicians are not supposed to do this. This is exactly what they're not supposed to do. And it's so funny listening to all the old timer politicians in the US Senate, like Elizabeth Warren. This is an outrage. Call my congressman. Oh, wait a minute. I'm the senator. I think I outrank a congressman. But anyway, I mean, we're like literally living in the world, cats and dogs living together. A while ago, and I suppose probably maybe 20, 30 years ago, I guess maybe it was even longer ago than that. But I remember distinctly growing up, in the shadow of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and stuff. People literally saying, there can't be another global war because we're all going to die if it happens. Looks like we're heading headlong into fucking global war here now, boys and girls. And like I said, you could actually find that Canada, like 30 years ago, you would have said, well, the Canada and the United States going to war with each other? People would have said, you're crazy. Absolutely nuts. That is the longest border in the world of two free, peaceful nations. That will never be compromised. Well, I'll tell you now, like literally the Chinese are setting it up. Like they've literally told, because keep in mind, Carney's in bed with the damn CCP. They've said we're going to use Canada as a way to get at the US. Now, do you think the United States of America, who literally manufactured a reason to invade a country on the other side of the world, you think they're actually going to put up with China using Canada as a base of operations? What are you, crazy? You can't write better fiction than reality. And what bothers me is we're going to look back after the fact and everybody's going to go, oh, why didn't we see that coming? That was pretty obvious. And what's really scary is that it turns out that they've actually uncovered backroom conversations with Carney and Trump, where Carney's like, yeah, you know what? We'll be the 51st state. No problem. Sounds good. Yeah. I think Brookfield will make a fortune if you do that. Yeah, come on in. But full disclosure, through this election, I'm going to have to talk a little bit bad about you. So just be forewarned. And Trump's like, well, that's fine. Is there another $1 billion century-long rent payment in there, somewhere in there, Mr. Carney? Oh, yeah, sure. We'll do that. All right, go ahead. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, I'll, as same thing with Musk, right? As long as you write the check and the check's big enough, Trump will be your best friend. It's kind of sad. You can't write better fiction than reality. What we're going through here, folks. All right, back to the story. Sorry. Brian's going to be slightly triggered over the next day or two. And if, heaven there's some miracle of miracles. If this conservative guy actually wins, and all of the sort of grunts on the ground are cheering for that, but I think this election is totally cooked and corrupt in itself. But anyway, that's here nor there. If for some reason the conservatives can actually pull out some sort of victory here, then there is a chance our country actually could save itself. But I don't know. Doesn't look too good. And ironically enough, I think I have some people who are actually rooting for, yeah, Brian, relocate down to the States. Yeah, sure. Let's go, man. What's been taking you so long? I know there's one gentleman and I were going to go have some Kansas City barbecue. We're totally stoked. That's of course if I can get over the border. There might be orange stickers on the border. Do not allow this clown into the United States of America ever again. Even though I told you I'm a USA bull, I'm a US dollar bull, and half of the reason why I'm going down there is because I want to take my US dollars and actually buy US land, buy US property, buy US assets. Because I'll tell you, if there's a nuclear war, the only country that's got a hope in hell of surviving and coming out on top of this is the United States. Anybody who's like actually at that point where there's a nuclear war and you're going up against the United States of America, you're dead. They will kill you 52 different ways before you even realize you're dead. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. We rallied smartly back off of the brink here. I was pretty impressed. This rally over the past week. I did have minor sort of very late trend continuation short setups working, and they got simply blown out. And as I said earlier, what I'm really worried about is people are like, all right, I listen to this guy and he's always right. I mean, if you go on the internet, it drives you crazy how, because I won't pay for an account on Twitter, Alan has literally got every single bot just spamming the fuck out of my tweets, which makes sense. He's trying to suck at any penny he can possibly get out of every single account. So my account's getting absolutely blitzed with spam. And the spam, and I think that the spam is actually socially engineered. Like they seriously think about exactly how they want to shill you. And they say things like, oh, since I signed up with blah, 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 man, I've done nothing but win. This girl, this guy, and of course it's all bullshit, right? It's some fucking Chinese idiot over there with a gun at some poor Laotian's head, slave laboring them in some fucking prison camp, probably down in El Salvador. They're probably doing it too. But the point being that is the language that these shillers use, that, oh, follow this person, they're always right, you're going to make tons of money. So what I'm always worried about is people who start listening to all my crazy antics, and then I start talking about what I think's going to happen. Market goes up, market goes down, blah, blah, blah. And if that doesn't happen, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I got to call my lawyer, got to sue. Because remember, folks, all of you watching and anybody who's watching this after the fact, and I can see we only have about 50 viewers here today. Sometimes when the market's moving exactly the way that I think it's going to move, the viewership's like through the roof. But since my last sort of short setup that I was talking about got busted out, I noticed that the sort of social interaction has quieted down dramatically. And the irony of all of this is that that's not really my job here. Gog, smartass. My job, if nothing else, is just to simply show you the process. The process, and if you're, watching for as a new person to investing, new person to trading, if you have your journals out and you're like, okay, every single day you should be journaling. What did I see? What did I learn? Keep in mind, we're all students of the market. We are always learning. Something new always happens. Like, frankly speaking, I didn't think we lived in a world where Trump could pull off this bullshit with his Trump coin dinner thing, which is utter and complete corruption. You're not supposed to do that in this world. And he's just done it like he doesn't even give a fuck. And there's no way he could do it in the stock market because, of course, that was completely outlawed in the 1930s after the Great Depression. You're not allowed to use people's vulnerability for access to politicians. But since crypto, of course, is unregulated, fuck you. So, what did I learn? Well, I learned this world is heading down a really bad path, and we are getting more and more and more corrupt by the minute. Ugh, it's heartbreaking. Anyway, as I said, the guy who's trying to take over my country right now, the only reason why Trump's talking nice to him is because he bought him, right? For $1.1 billion was Trump's price tag. And since then, I think whatever he wants, Trump does, including saying things like, "Oh yeah, I think he's a good leader for Canada." Like Trump gives a flying fuck about him or Canada. Anyway, so what did I see? What did I learn? And actually, it'd be interesting. Yeah, well, Andre very well said. If you really want to go and learn the actual history of money and banking and how corrupt these stupid humans really are, this goes all the way back to the days of JC, the cleanest of the prophets. I don't think Muhammad was ready to call him the son of God, but he definitely called him the cleanest of all the prophets. And of course, turning the tables over in the temple doesn't change. Nothing changes. It's just, I suppose, a really sad commentary on this silly human species. Anyway, so looking at the market right now, for whatever it's worth, nothing's really changed with this bigger, higher time frame sort of outlook. Where do I think the world's going into the fall of 2026? Nothing there has changed at all. It's just really a question of we had to get through this seasonal troughing period, and how the heck were we going to do that? I guess maybe that's over here. Yeah. And what worries me here now, I hate to say it, folks, is interesting. The message is there, but the little arrow isn't. Anyway, what worries me now, of course, is we've got my birthday coming up here. And the adage is sell in May and walk away. So I was kind of hoping that, all right, just, clean the market up, put a nice base in here, and then we can start climbing our way up into the cycle peak. But I don't like the fact that now we're still in April. And oh no, what are we supposed to think if we ever see the market rally into 61.8 to 78.6 fibs? Is that a bullish setup? Anyone? Bueller. That's not good. And here comes Brian's birthday. Yeah, and it's not Brian, it's Liz. She's always causing trouble, I swear. So, what's going to happen here? Is this actually going to top out into early May, sell in May and walk away? And then, right into a shorting window, and then we have to head back down. And what scares me about this is, my rule about trend lines. Anybody's taken my education program or watched these videos over the years, and hopefully you've learned this yourself, is that's not a W on the other side of a trend line. That's like literally straight up. And my hunch here is, do we have any fundamental catalysts coming up here in early May, late April, that might actually justify this rally? And then what do you do after that? So, let's go back to our newsletter. And somebody's asked me to take a look at Cripple there. over there on the YouTube page. So, hopefully you play connect the dots and go, okay, well, that's what he's talking about here. Where the hell's the newsletter? Is that back over here? Newsletter tastes great. What I'm most concerned about here, and actually we did this in this write-up here, I was actually pretty surprised, is that now we have two pretty large catalysts coming up here for the end of April, beginning of May. So Chris pointed this out to me, XRP ETF in late April. I think it's like April 30th or something, but it could be anywhere around the end of April, beginning of May. And then we've got Mr. Trump's coins special dinner. By influence, the biggest holders of my coin, which of course I control all of the supplies. So really what you're doing is you're just cutting me a check, can get invited to my dinner. And if you want to talk to me and you want to get my attention, well, buy a whole bunch of my coins. I mean, how fucking corrupt is that for a publicly elected politician to do that? That's like breaking every ethics rule in the book. What the hell's going on in this world? It's insane. Anyway, so, the fact that we have these two catalysts coming up here in the very near term, it's a little bit scary. This is total crypto market cap, total 3. And it does look to me like this is coming up into a resistance level. This would be like the entire crypto market. And oh, by the way, there is Saturday, May 3rd. So is that going to be like right around that Trump coin event window? I think so. And is that right around that Cripple ETF listing event window? Sure looks like it. So I'm a little bit worried here that, we're coming awful late to the party here if you're thinking about buying today. The bottom was here. And I got to tell you, man, this is absolute perfect sales pitch for our product. We spent about 5 years working on this thing, building it out. I think the team is basically at the point of getting ready to get into fist fights here on a daily basis. But the irony of it all is that the engine and the system actually does work. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. So you can see here back the very beginning of April, and if I'm not mistaken, I think we even had a really nice oversold. I don't know where there it is there. So this is April 1st as of here for crypto. What's interesting, and unfortunately with the engine, Stuart is continually fine-tuning it and changing, and of course the names are oscillating in and out. But what I really wanted to show you was they're basically the end of April, and I actually put the tweet out the day of the actual event. We had a really powerful signal in that the histogram for the crypto market went fully oversold and fully oversold on both the short and the medium term. And that is your signal that this market is officially washed out. And I actually did the original tweet back, I think it was on the 7th. With regard to the stock market, we didn't have the medium term oversold, but we had this fast, like basically at zeros at 1. It can only go to 0. So literally the stock market couldn't go down any further. This is what kind of bothers me, is that to actually get like the signal that we just saw there in crypto, we actually need to see both the fast and the medium term, like the short term and the medium term, both go heavily oversold. And I don't think we've seen that in the stock market just yet. Having said that, I get the impression that we did just go through some sort of pivot there. And I think we got one hell of a pivot signal there in crypto. And ironically enough, when you actually look at the date that I put this tweet out, which was April 7th, right? Can you respect this message? If we actually look back after the fact, we see April 7th is like literally the low of the market. So TRI's breadth indicator, which doesn't flash these signals very often, folks, was telling you right here, this is a trap. You think you're bullish or bearish, you think we're going to zero. And of course, in the sentiment in the space was we're going to zero. You talk to anybody in crypto and it was just an absolute crypto Twitter and stuff, just an absolute nightmare. And sure enough, look at what's happened since then. It's just literally been pretty much straight up since then. I gotta tell you, this tool is pretty freaking sick. Sick and frick. When I saw that, I was just like, I couldn't believe that. So, full disclosure, I've been buying away here, and some of the names that I've been buying, I don't think they're quite ready to explode higher here yet. But gee whiz, they sure look pretty. And I even put tweets out going, I try not to have an opinion because a lot of the time my opinion is completely worthless. And frankly speaking, almost everybody's opinion is completely worthless. But when we start seeing price charts that start putting in W's here, and then we start looking at the indicators and they're all Wing out and surging higher here, well, I don't have any choice. I have to go and buy. I mean, this is basically everything I do as a risk taker in the marketplace. So, full disclosure, I went and bought some more of this thing. Woo! And there are a bunch of names here that just, I look at them and I'm like, wow, they just look so perfect. For buying. I can't really make that comment on the entire market. Some are bottoming, some aren't. But one by one, I'm seeing names come up here that are looking very attractive. I think somebody on the site was mentioning Abe there the other day. I think this C pool, look how close he is, right? I'd pay real close attention to this. I remember when this thing was running up, all the C pool sort of fans were all like, this thing is the shit. It's going to go to the $1 million, Brian. So, clearly you should have been taking some profits on that pump, right? Cliche. But you can see what's happening here. This is an example of one that hasn't fired yet. That minute, it's already fired. You missed it. Can't touch that now. But this C pool, keep your eyes on the radar screen here. This thing goes and W's out, and the irony of it all is the W will come in and it'll actually even be below the 78.6 there. That's a beautiful looking chart. I know Chris's buddy Zug. I haven't seen him too much on the site lately. But wow, look at the size of that W. Again, right in reload zones. This is everything that I tell you. And I often say after the fact, what you're not, don't be surprised if you look back over time and you see the damn 78.6. Turns out that's the bottom of the market. This happens more often than not. Take a screenshot of that, throw it in your files. What did I learn today? Did I see anything maybe I haven't seen before? How do I feel? Try and learn from this, people. It's remarkable how cliche this is. So, at full disclosure, I said to our community and I said to everybody and all of you on YouTube and stuff that through this spring season, I was going to be in here reacquiring all of the coins that I bought on that silly Trump election rally win. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I put my money where my mouth is. Now, the only problem here is, can you come and actually buy a name right there? Not really. You've missed the trade. If anything, you want to get really cute, I might even just say, go and throw a stink bid in a reload zone. What a surprise. And you could probably actually join me at the same level that I bought at. And literally the entire market looks like this. What I'm worried about, again, we'll look at something like, say, an Ethereum. Now, I already said it once, so let's see if you guys can jump through hoops. If we trade through this trend line like we're doing right now, is that a buy signal? Or do we need to see something on the other side of this event to actually confirm that, yes, indeed, this is a bullish chart? Anybody placate me here? 60 people we got on the call today. Woohoo! Constantine. All right. Yeah, that's right. Want to see a W, right? So, and the irony of it all is, and thank you for placating me, Adam. Oh, look at them coming in here. Richard. Actually, geez, I see some names that sound familiar. Constantine. Kirkolos. Did I pronounce that correct? Hope I am. And interesting with this one is A to B. Look at that cute little W. C to D. If you actually had botted this on say a lower time frame chart, you can probably see the bot setup. There to there. And we'll go body bot. And what do you think the odds are that this bot setup is going to be backwards? And it's always backwards. I'm so cliche. I cliche myself. Then we draw that off of that low, one low, two lows. Oh, that would have been a tough one. I don't know whether this was the most textbook bot, and it's Beckett's, of course. Look how the damn bot setup is right off of that level. God damn sons of bitches. Actually, this might even be a good example that if you use that as one low, that is a second low, that is a third low, you're like, fuck it, man, I'm just buying this damn bot level, and it comes down and it flushes this. Oh no! It flushes this. Oh no! But it couldn't get through this low, and then it turned and went straight up. But point of the matter is, what just happened here? Ding, 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 ding. Where's Adam? And it's so fun. I love day trading with Adam because he's so good at, God, I swear I could kiss the guy. It's so freaking awesome. In trading, we are all about the cliche. If something's a cliche, then that means that it happens more often than not. And so it's great. And Adam, everything that I taught, for some reason, he has bought the Kool-Aid. This is Adam C. They're in the lounge. And so literally when things happen in the day trader room that we should all be cognizant of, Adam's like, all right, 13 EMA acting as support. I mean, and he's consistent as shit. And that's exactly what you have to be when you're a pro trader, is you have to be consistent. Every single thing has to be exactly right and exactly the same day in, day out. And I love that about working with Adam. And now, Adam and I don't know whether he likes my setup, but I call it the Sacramento slab. But we do hunt a very specific set of criteria. And I tell you, when I wait and I'm patient and I only trade the criteria based on boom, 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 and boom, and then my final key is boom, boom. Not going to tell you. Subscribe to my newsletter to find out what the hell it is I'm talking about. But as soon as that happens, man, I tell you, my win rate on Top Step has been extremely high. With that prop firm, and actually even trading my own personal account too. So I'm doing both, trading their prop account and trading my own personal account. And it's beautiful, and it's such a great testament to what it takes to actually win at this game. So anyway, so the point of the matter here is, if you are a bot trader, hopefully you can see that really all this thing did was it just banged into a bot level, A, B, C, D objective right there. That's a symmetrical A, B, C, D, where you buy the 25 level, you risk to a break of the lows, and fascinating how close that came there. Move your stop to scratch at 50% of the anticipated move. On 66% of the anticipated move, start trailing your stops. I like to use the 3 high-low method. Just use market structure, right? So in this case, 66, I've got one low, I've got 2 lows. I might as well just leave my stop at scratch. Then notice, look how the market puts in a nice little W here. So now I could go 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows. All right, I'll move my stop from scratch to here on the confirmation of this W. Then the market moves higher. So 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows. I can move my stop to here now on this event. And of course, I had my AOCO order working the whole time at the bot objective. And now Adam would say, ding, 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 you're done. But the problem is look how that happened right into this trend line resistance. So there's another reason, when you look at the price chart after the fact, you should go, now, why on earth did the market run up to this particular level and then all of a sudden run into just a shitload of sellers and then start to back off and head back down? Why did that happen? Well, now after watching the Beamish's rant here today, you'll understand why that happened. And I suppose interesting question here is, and actually this would be a good question to, hit the like button, please, everybody. Make my life a hell of a lot easier. Although, frankly speaking, I don't think it makes a hell of a lot of difference. I keep doing these videos month in, month out, year in, year out. I'll be doing them. I'll probably be doing them after I'm dead from the other side. Be interesting to see, because every single Sunday it's always the same thing. And so it'd be really interesting to see the day after I die, whether I'm going to be like on the other side going, okay, it's where's Chris? It's time to do a video. Mind you, I also worked with the mayor of Vienna. I don't know whether the mayor of Vienna is still around anymore. He was a great guy. I always liked him. And also, I worked with another gentleman, the Kavarkinator. He was a fun guy to work with. And actually, open call. Chris is right here. Chris, you got a microphone? Can these people hear you? Oh, no, actually, Chris has to. And that, here's another sign of a professional trader. Another great sign. And I think he's off to bed now, so this is good. So he won't hear us. Chris understands that he has a nut, and that nut has to be met. And until he actually gets to the point where he is consistently being profitable and making money, he understands that he's going to have to make some sacrifices in his life because nuts have to be met. So bless Chris's heart. He's trying as hard as he can to jump through top step combine hoops. I haven't really checked in on his actual numbers of late, but he hasn't blown himself up, so that's a good sign. He's slowly working his way through, trying to figure out how he himself is going to approach these market, what works best for him as an individual. And he also has a part-time job on the side. And what's fascinating is, these kind of people that are so dedicated and so hardworking, his employer's actually kind of taking advantage of him. Oh, what a surprise. This fucked up world. Probably, well, no, I better not say that. Anyway, so Chris has a part-time job. He's also trading futures every single day. And he's, well, maybe not every day. I can't comment on that, but very often. And I admire his professionalism. That's what it takes to win at this game. And sometimes you're going to have to make some self-sacrifices along the way. It's part of the journey. So to answer your question, I think today, Chris, the managers are like, hey, can you work a 28-hour shift? What? So he said he fired up the video and then he went straight to bed. So bless Chris's heart. So anyway, the point of the matter here is I'm a little worried that we've kind of come to the end of a move here. And we're heading into this insanely corrupt event here with regard to Cripple. No, with regard to Trump coin. Maybe why don't we go take a look at that Trump, see what it looks like. And the irony of it all is I can actually see a trade here. So actually, it was interesting. One of our site members, Big House, you see him over there commenting on YouTube. He was riding the wave down. And I think making some pretty good money. So congratulations there. But you can clearly see something happened a few days ago where we stopped making lower highs and lower lows, and we actually started making higher highs and higher lows. And that accumulated right there on the 22nd Tuesday, where she actually W'd out. And I might argue that was a pretty big buy signal. And if I'm not mistaken, I think somebody even in the TRI lounge posted that on this event was when Mr. Trump announced on his social media platform that he was basically the market's bitch. And if you wanted to come and hold his hand at dinner, and maybe he'll even reach over you and give you a nice wet willy, something like that. As long as you paid the price, bought his crap coin, shit coin that technically is worthless, you could come in and play patty cake with him at the dinner table there on whenever it is, early May. And what a surprise, the price of the coin goes shooting up. It's like the definition of corruption. You literally could not define corruption anymore, clearly. And actually interesting, Gog, you say on the other side of trend line, be interesting just to draw some really simple trend lines, make like maybe off of that top and then that top. And oh yeah, look how we were walking our way down and walking our way down. And oh, we broke the trend line. Is this a buy here? Not yet, but W on other side of trend line. There's a W on the other side of trend line. Away you go. So I think you can make the argument that technically this thing set itself up. A better rant you can't get anywhere on the interwebs. Damn, there's a sales endorsement if I've ever heard one. Thank you. Who is that? Blaze Blackwater. Cool name. I got another ticket to hang with Millennia. Now that would be interesting. I wonder what Donnie would do if he came home one day and found somebody in bed with her. That would be interesting. Would he sit down and watch? Who knows? All right. So yeah, you want me to look at stocks? All right, stock and stock, blonde and blonde. Before I leave crypto, though, somebody did want me to look at Cripple. So hopefully everybody can understand. I think there was a pretty clear buy signal on this Trump coin. I think it's utter and complete corruption, and it is a terrible commentary on our society and the direction that we're heading as a society. But nonetheless, I'm not here to cast judgment. I'm here to just buy W's, right? And sell M's and, bang out doubles and all that kind of nonsense. So, I might argue what is that? 860, 880, somewhere in that area. So that means that's where the double bottom was. So it doesn't surprise me as we get closer and closer to 17. What would eight? I guess 80. Yeah. What the hell is this damn number? Actually, I think this is the buy signal here, believe it or not, off of that high. And actually, you know what? I think, I hate to say it, but I think we're actually operating off of that range. Now my apologies. I'm very rhetorical filled, but I think you all know, man, my country is like literally on the brink of disaster here. And tomorrow we find out whether we're all going to hell in a handbasket, commie style or not. And I can't believe it. It's just, I can't believe how smoothly they've taken over this thing. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is, 17 bucks, somewhere in that area, 17 and a half. You're probably going to see a bunch of selling into this. And then the question I would have is, do we start seeing divergences building up here? Where's our MAB? This indicator is totally awesome just to see it point blank. There it is, plain as day. 5 confirmed bear divs on that push to new highs there. So it would have been nice, and probably the doubles actually did come off this cute little W right down in here, because that high there is 850. So that means 16, 17 bucks is the double. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and push that up into that event window. I think the dinner is somewhere around this first or second week of May here. But once that dinner is done, what would be the reason to hold on to the coin following that? Keep in mind, there's absolutely no fundamental value to this thing whatsoever. And then the question you have to ask yourself is, what's actual trend line support? Because when the market does puke out, that's the first thing it'll do is it will hunt for support. So just drawing some very simple trend lines here. Hopefully you can see we are nowhere near support at the present. Oh God, you're crazy to be a buyer up here. I suppose if you really wanted to push, we could probably hunt things like bot setups. Do you have like Notice here, look at this pretty little W here. 1 higher low, 2 higher lows, 3 higher lows. So there probably was a bot setup trade here if you wanted to trade this thing. Boom. All right. We did 66, but no more than, we did 33, but no more than 66. And then we'll take this and we'll go bot trade. And then we'll pick that up. And whoop, not that one. This one. Oh, I did it again. Let's see if we can get that. Is that the one? There we go. And draw that off of that low. Looks roughly right. And 25 entries right here, 66, and looking for 1863 as a profit objective up top. That makes sense. We could probably do another one here. Boobity boo, boobity shmoo, bot setup, 33, 66, but it's backwards. Let's go there. All right, there's 33. Then we go here. I'm supposed to head over to the stock market, aren't I? I'm talking too much crypto. So there's the next bot setup if you wanted to try and sneak your way in here. It is pretty late though. I don't know whether this would be in your best interest. You're kind of chasing up here, but you can see 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows. Do you buy on a stop here and risk to a break here? You might even just simply say, look, give me some sort of market structure signal on other sides of trend lines. So something like that, and then like that. So can I please get a nice, let's say a break up in here, and then a nice consolidation, and away we go. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4 lows. Fucking A, away we go. Also looking. Notice we're getting confluence of levels. We got a 16.88 off of the original bottom. This bot objective and this bot objective all seeming to line up here around 18, 19 bucks. And as we said originally, the double bottom there was 1880, we'll call it. Keep it simple. So that is 1790, somewhere in that. No, 1760. So again, up in this area, you should expect some sellers. And then also too, poor schmucks who probably listen to Trump's kids' recommendations. My hunch is there's probably a whole bunch of trap bulls in there that would love to get released, and a whole ton of trap bulls all up in here that would absolutely love to get released. And then probably if we did fibs going from the lows back up top, you'd probably find that this is like 38.2s. Yes. Ironically enough, this stuff just writes itself. So we go boobity boo and boobity boo and boobity shmoo and boobity boo and whoa, 38.2s all the way up there. All right, well, maybe these trap bulls, maybe if they're lucky, they get released. That seems like a little bit too far, though, to be honest with you. Probably, I think, what is it? It's 20. I don't really use this fib that often, but I think it's 0.26 something. I can't remember. But if we just go 26, all right, yeah, I can't remember that fib just off the top of my head, but it's something around there. But interesting how that lines up nicely with that. And it also lines up nicely with this market structure fail level and the original opening low there. So this is probably a huge pivot right in here, right up against value high. So yeah, you want to play this thing on its way up, but just understand if you are going to be a trader, then you trade setups, right? You don't really have an opinion. If the trade setup comes in, and this one would probably be a good example of what I call front running the bot. So maybe you buy there, maybe hell, you front run it and you're like, fuck it, man. Look at that. 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows. I'm totally going long here. And there's the bot entry. And so you're laughing on the way up here. I don't know. You're going to have to learn what appeals to you as an individual and as an individual trader. I try and keep it as simple as possible. That's why I like the 3 higher lows, because it gives you multiple stops to sort of protect your position versus just the W's. Anyway, so there's your Trump. If somebody was thinking about playing it, this is what I'd be thinking right now. I don't think that this thing breaks in earnest. Keep in mind, though, if we start to see a shit ton of divergences all up top here, then, probably be careful. I don't think we really see too many divs coming in here. I don't see the MAB giving us anything here right now off the dailies. So we got a few divs there. I suppose somebody could be working this way lower, trading that. In fact, that little fractal right there. But ironically enough, that fractal would have you stopped out here. I would actually prefer into that event that you actually hunt longs and just play this on the way up into the event. Once the event happens, though, all bets are off, right? Because there's no need or no reason for anybody to be long. Okay, so enough talking about orange toupees. Let's move on. People were asking me to look at Cripple. And then I think we'll just go over and make a comment about the stock market. I mean, you understand what I'm thinking with regard to Bitcoin. This is the 50% level where we are right now. We've got reload zones just above us. And of course, we've got these two catalysts that I think the market's moving into. I don't think that Trump coin breaks hard. You might see a pullback, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it breaks hard or tops until after that dinner. And then if we look at Cripple, probably the same sort of conversation, but let's see what we got there. Keep in mind the Cripple people, and I think they literally have greased Mr. Trump's palms enough that they basically own him. I never really got a very good sort of setup to get back into this thing. I had some stink bids working down below, but it just really didn't want to set up here for me. So you can see I've got bids working. Nothing's really changed here. I don't really consider this a very good trade location. And frankly speaking, I hate when price charts look like this. I suppose you could argue, we used to have a guy on the site, Colin, and he had a buying zone that he used to like, 38.2s to 50% levels. We called it the Colin Pump Chaser Zone. I guess that would be in this area. So there's 38.2 off the top. There's 50%. If we're going to play this, then that means that I'm thinking bot setup, which means I'm thinking 3 higher lows and 3, bullish market structure. I really don't like the fact that this very valid active trend, we're not even anywhere near there yet. Well, that's not a good sign. Also, too, keep in mind, there really is no fundamental value to Cripple. I can't even remember, but just out of curiosity, how many coins are outstanding on this thing? I don't know why the hell they're making an ETF out of this. This makes no sense whatsoever. I do remember people in the past said that Cripple is really, really good for remittance, but it is highly, highly centralized. I mean, is that what you want out of your cryptocurrency? We're supposed to be a decentralized proxy. So you're going to go and buy one of the most heavily centralized entities around there? Does this make any sense at all? Anyway, interesting how somebody here is thinking that we're sort of in this spot right here. And actually, I like that. If I was going to give a thumbs up to this, right? I might even, if this is a tweet, I might even just, oh God. Oh, good luck. I don't know what the fuck to do with this. But that's actually a pretty good read. I think that this is what we're looking at in over the next 6 months. You all know what my expectation for Bitcoins are. I mean, I don't have to go into that again and again and again. So that's actually not a bad read, to be honest with you. I kind of like that. I would retweet that, except Crypto Patel. Is this on Twitter? Oh, look at that. Was this guy? Is this the guy who? And actually, I'm like to see that because that's exactly where I bought. I literally bought the lows of that consolidation. Felt pretty good about that. Where's that tweet that he just had there? Because actually, I agree with that. This one right here. I agree with this. This isn't bad. I don't know what the hell this is though. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Am I looking at a tweet? Is this a tweet? Anyway, I'll just tweet this out. That is interesting. I will put in the lounge. Hashtag very interesting. Paste. All right. I'll even do exactly the same thing on Twitter, just so you know. My message to the TRI community is basically the same thing as what I say to the public. I'll say hashtag very interesting. I don't know if this person is on, oops. There we go. I don't know if this person's on Twitter or not, but wow, that is a cool post. I give you a thumbs up there or whatever, but I don't know how you do that here. Can I? Because I do this, it's going to want me to log in, right? I tried to retweet it. There's a happy face. Oh, there we go. That worked. No, it didn't. Okay, fuck off. Anyway, I actually like this thinking. This makes perfect sense to me. The question I had ultimately was, would this happen around my birthday? Does this happen near the end of May? Does this happen the middle of June? But I think we're basically in this window here right now. I don't know whether I'm totally convinced that we have indeed turned the corner and we go straight up from here. But I definitely think we are very, very close to that pivot somewhere in that area. And that's just Brian's opinion, right? Don't go down the road where, oh, well, that guy I follow, he's always right, man. He's awesome. He says we're going straight down. He says we're going straight up. It's just my freaking opinion, okay? I don't know. And I'm certainly not any better than the rest of you at reading crystal balls. Interesting if we look at that Bitcoin chart, although this is getting off on a tangent. Let's stick on Cripple here for the time being. I really don't like that. Keep in mind that's a 4-hour chart. So let's look at a daily chart. And actually, this is a good quick conversation to have with you folks. We've got 58 people over there on YouTube. Hit the like button, subscribe, ring my bell. And look at that. People are already asking about Millennia Coin. Big House, you got a sales pitch. Dinner is May 22nd. Oh my goodness, all that. Oh man. Anyway, you tell me. Just look at this image. Is the Beamish going to be bullish of an image that looks like that? I mean, give me some feedback here. Let me know that somebody's actually watching this. Is that the kind of chart that Brian's going to go and buy? It's pretty straightforward. Sucks, but it is what it is. So just, just be aware, people. Looks like that's a community inside coin market cap. Oh, thanks, Nick. Nick, are you still here? Oh, yeah, okay. Someone is distributing bags up there. Well, I do like the idea. And frankly speaking, I could see Cripple make another move up top here, A, B, C, D. But the problem is I can't buy an image that looks like that. I mean, you all know, and actually you can see right here, I'm long from down here. This is where I originally bought, all the way over here. And that's exactly when you were supposed to buy crypto. Well, actually, no, that's not true. Right here. This is where I'm long, right? Right through that winter of 2023. Remember SBF and all of his trial and all that, and crypto's going to zero? Well, that was actually when you had to have the professionalism to step up and buy. And frankly speaking, that's exactly what we did. In fact, I think that's what all this stuff says here, right? I'm long from 43 cents right there. So on this event, of course, I was selling at absolutely stupid prices. So, this thing might go higher from here, but there's no way in hell I can be a buyer here. No. And so if anything, one question you might want to ask yourself is, what actually happens when they float these ETFs? What happened to Bitcoin when they floated its futures-based ETF? Hint, 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 CME listing for Bitcoin. That was when the market topped at 20,000. Last Donny election. Oh, by the way. And the damn thing absolutely came off. So interestingly enough, if we just look at reload zones, and then if I do the same logic that I did with Ethereum there, this to me looks like A to B, C to D. So I think we got a visit with the top side of value. But kind of like what you see here, you better be damn careful. I don't know, maybe we're like there to there or something. You come in here and maybe you hit upside objectives, and keep in mind, actually, no, that's true. Look at that. That's not off of that high. That's off of that high. So yeah, both of these trend lines, because that's a valid trend line. You got market structure that validates that line. Can you be a buyer on the tags of these trend lines? Absolutely not. So what does that mean? Could we pop up here? Woohoo! And then go and M out and puke back out? Sure, why not? What do we say about V bottoms? What is, by definition, what should we think whenever we see a V bottom? It needs to be what? Excellent, Glass Insights. Beautiful, well said. Retest, tested, excellent, good. You guys are fucking sharp. Now, what I do think's happening here, and keep in mind that I think this is buy the rumor, sell the news. You can also see it here too. This looks like an inverted head and shoulders. I can't tell exactly where that left shoulder is. That's something along those lines. Might even be all the way up here, might even be that. There to there, there to there. David O would be able to chime in on that. And interesting how left shoulder and right shoulder are almost perfectly equal. So interestingly enough, off of the head and shoulders, the very first objective, actually, this will be an interesting quiz question. If you don't know this is a sales pitch of why you need to take our education program. But what is the fib level that you should always be thinking of right off the bat if you ever see a head and shoulders? Very first objective. Can anybody read my mind or know what the correct answer is? Yeah, I kind of do like that. CME futures for XRP to the 19th of May. Also, really? Is it 19th of May? Oh, I didn't realize. So both of them are really, really close, eh? Well, parking garage is good thinking, Dave. And in essence, what's the first level in the parking garage? And then you've got the answer I'm looking for. Let's see if Dave can answer, because nobody else seems to know the answer, which is a bit of a shame. So if you want to think about it in simplest terms, A, B, C, D. So if we do parking garage, because you're absolutely right, and excellent, Dave, you got the correct answer. So let's do parking garage. So very first objective you should always have with inverted head and shoulders or head and shoulders, doesn't really matter, is we want extension levels, right? And think parking garage. And do you notice how the shoulder, so head to neckline, then replicate that, think harmonic, A, B, C, D, right? So that's, this is actually really, really good learning material. If I was ever going to teach a course on this stuff, I would definitely include this in an education program. Well, that sounds a bit weird. Anyway, do you see how the symmetrical ABCD takes us up to that 1.618? So that should always be your knee-jerk first stop. What is a natural target for an inverted head and shoulders? Then, ultimately, if we can think about the market, if this is not setting up a harmonic, then we can think about the market here as this is a trading range, right? The bottom part of the head and shoulders, that's a trading range. And really the market, all it really wants to do is it just wants to go from parking garage level to parking garage level, or think of it from trading range to trading range. So that's why you have this parking garage window is 1.618 is the natural extension level off of things like harmonic AB equals CD. This is a symmetrical level. And the 200% is just nothing more than replicating this range above here. And also notice too, that that's going to take us right back into a previous level that ran into a whole bunch of resistance. And also notice too that once we get above 1.618, we're actually moving away from value And you can see relative to where everybody's been trading over the past, what's this, like 3 or 4 months? Not really that many people are interested up top here. So problem here is, what do you think when we do get up here? Is this a buying window? Or is that hey, you better ring the register and pay yourself a little bit, you know? So I think you know the answer to that. Don't overthink this. It's pretty straightforward. So I don't know. I'm skeptical. And you say that this we should probably leave this on the screen. You say that the XRP event is for the 19th of May. So that is right there. So let's even put this XRP event on CME. They probably want to remember that. And then you said on the Trump coin, same sort of thing. You said May 22nd was the actual event. Trump, well, we'll call it what? The crony capitalism dinner. God, I mean, Jesus, the right wing gets all upset about all the crony capitalism. Remember, what was her name? Cool Kelly Loeffler. Remember Cool Kelly Loeffler? That was total crony capitalism. But this is over the top. I mean, this makes Cool Kelly Loeffler and that kind of shit look laughable. So anyway, just the point being that I think you could probably see Cripple move higher here. But once we get up into this, let's call it 260. There's, of course, Brian's favorite fib. Oh, interesting. There's a 4669 floating out there. Notice that's where the market originally topped out. Interestingly enough, we don't even have great levels to work Foggenbaums off of here. Maybe at best we could do from here back up to here and then go chaos. Let's see what that gives us. So 2.618 also up against that 1.618. And oh, look at that. Overlapping 4669s and 78.6s. So if Brian was going to put his neck in the noose and say, I think that Cripple tops out, and I'm going to say it hits $3 a coin, which also would make sense too, because you know there's a ton of liquidity up in there. These poor fools, they'll be released, right? And then all we're doing is we're actually just getting back up into the original top. But what I wanted to show you, and I don't think I was able to, but just try and wrap your head around how many freaking coins on this thing are actually outstanding. I mean, the number is astronomical. I don't know where I have that page now. I thought I just ordered it up here. All right. You know what? I'm running out of time here. It's already getting on 1 o'clock. 1:30, I have to be out the door. So I don't know whether we had any questions in the Q&A document. So I did look at Cripple. I did look at Trump coin. We did look at Bitcoin. We looked at Ethereum. Hopefully that gives you a bit of a broad spectrum on what I'm thinking in crypto. And I suppose the last one, always not a bad idea to look at. I mentioned this earlier. This is the total, everything but Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I think this is an excellent sales pitch for subscribing to the site. All you got to do is just wait for these histograms to go both overbought or oversold in unison, and you have yourself a long-term pivot. The only problem is that this doesn't happen very often. Usually it happens about maybe 2, maybe if we're lucky, 3 times a year. But when it does happen, for God's sakes, you've got to pay attention. It's the easiest market timing tool you will ever find. And it's interesting how the bond market is starting to lift here, because the bond market also gave us one of those signals. What I'm worried about here, though, is the stock market is not there. So this concerns me. So I guess not a bad dovetail to head on over to the stock market. And what happens when all of these ABCD levels are traded to? and the crypto rally has exhausted itself. What then? You better be a little bit careful here, people. So big 6,000 foot view, blah, 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 January barometer. I thought that we were going to see a push one more low here. Doesn't have to happen. Here is the reality of the stock market. So we did push lower, and you can see they even tried to paint another M to push lower here. And you could even argue that there's an M in the price itself right there. Zing, zing, zing. And we were starting to head down in earnest. And I thought that we were going to get that push to new lows, but it just didn't want to come in. And interestingly enough, Donnie, very uncharacteristic, Donnie actually came out and started apologizing and started saying things like, well, you know what, maybe we're not going to tariff. You know what, maybe there's room for negotiation. Blah, blah, blah. I tell you, man, the guy's the biggest fucking windbag ever met. But having said that, how do you tell when a politician's lying to you? So they're all the same. I would never believe anything he ever says to you. And as soon as you start running out of favor in his books, man, watch your back. That guy will stab you in the back in a heartbeat. So it is what it is. We'll just, you got to roll with the punches in this game and just take whatever it is. Little bit concerning that, once we exhaust this A, B, C, D, I don't know whether these are helpful or not. I obviously drew these on a while ago. Actually, most of the charts I do off a laptop through the day, but sometimes I do these charts as well. Interesting to see China does just rallying right back up into resistance. This is the same sort of expectation that I have out of Cripple. We're probably going to rally, but all we're going to do is just rally right back into the original top. And then what happens? But anyway, heading back to the ES, really the S&P. And, we can use this is the ETF. I suppose this is also, that's the January barometer. What did I have on there? Yeah, this is the ETF as well. So it's the same thing. So if we go over here, A to B, C to D, I would not be surprised if they're going to take this market right back up. I mean, you can see juicy holes up here to be filled in. What's the statistical odds of gaps being filled in? You know the number. And if you don't, consider joining our site. That's basically our bread and butter, what we do. It is a module in our education program. Maybe that'll be benefit for you to learn that. But anyway, what I would simply say is, if you were hunting bearish setups off the top, boom, 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 I actually think we did come down and hit some technical objectives. Is this a bottom? Well, it is what it is. I suppose you can argue this is a bullish engulfing bar unto itself. The Japanese, they love those kind of candles. It's not really a key reversal or anything for me, but you could see down, up, down, breakout. I think this is more A, B, C, D. And then we have to really ask what the hell is going to happen up top here. It's not really if anything, what I see here is it looks like there's a juicy gap right there. So there's probably still a little bit more in the gas tank higher here over the next few days. Boom, something like that. Probably up against this trend line. I don't know where this, oh yeah, this is interesting. This was the original megaphone bottom. So I would imagine that we're probably going to run into some resistance here. Also might be interesting too, since this ABCD is basically done. And keep in mind, this is technically a PRZ, which means that that's a bullish setup. But what I would just simply say is let's draw reload zones off of that entire range. I think the bottom of the range is down there. So yeah. All this is going to do is just rally us right back into the middle of the, which box do I want? Not there, not there. How about up here? There we go. So reload short zone. I like that. It seems logical to me. Also, too, I think we're fairly far away from any options expiry date. May is usually a pretty big options expiry in the commodities markets, but we've got like 1, 2, so 1, 2, 3 weeks to go until the big monthly options expiry. So what I wouldn't be surprised, and it's interesting how that monthly options expiry, you guys notice we're getting some confluence here. Did you see when that options expiry was? So 18th, beg your pardon, 18th is the big options expiry. So that's right in there. And it'll be, I guess, Friday the 16th. Is that what I said? Friday. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong month. What a knucklehead. 1, 2, first Friday, second Friday, third Friday. Yeah, 16th. And then you said that your dinner was on the 22nd. And the XRP event is the 19th. I think what they're going to do here is they're going to rally the market over the next 1, 2, 3 weeks. Basically rally it right up into here. Right. And then we find out, all right, is this a top and we have to work our way back down? Or do we consolidate and we're setting up for the big face rip higher? I like that thinking. Maybe I'll just keep it nice and simple. Let's go. Boom. We fill in the gap, probably back to the trend line, then do a bit of a backing up. Notice here, there's a big hole in the charts there. Maybe something like that. Then up into the 19th. I guess the 16th. Whoops. Well, anyway, we'll go like that, then that, then that, then that, then that, and then back down, something like that. So, douche, 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 douche. There was that gap up in there. Remember we saw that? And then the ABCD level. So let's keep an eye out for some price action along these lines here through the middle of May. Something along those lines. Now, keep in mind, the old adage goes, sell in May and walk away. So I would have actually preferred that they had kept this market nice and low and put in a nice base on divergence. I don't think that this is sustainable over time. So I wouldn't be surprised that they sort of bump this thing up into all of these fundamental event windows, XRP, Trump dinner, options expiry. What do you think the odds are that there's some sort of FOMC event around here? I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts that there's probably an FOMC a decision in here. Don't have enough time today to look at this. Sorry. Maybe we'll look at this next week. That's kind of what I'm thinking stock market wise. Probably also too, not a bad idea. Look at momentum. Looks like everything's pointing up. If anything, what I would argue is pullbacks into support would be buying opportunities. So ironically enough, if this was like setting myself up for day trading, I would just simply draw horizontal support and resistance, especially off of that level and that level and that level and that level, and each of these would be potential buying levels. When market comes into these levels, look down at your indicators, see indicator confirmation, bullish divergence, then see W's in price, and you got yourself a trade set up. So that's kind of what I'm seeing in the stock market. And my hunch is a lot of stocks probably look very similar. I noticed things like Allen starting to turn the corner. Now he has an outright double bottom working. So I don't like Allen, and I think he's got the ethics of a piece of cardboard. Having said that, this is a world where unethical people do very, very well, right? The Muslims actually believe that this is hell, by the way. I don't know whether you're aware of that. And you actually have to try and earn your way out of it. I might argue a guy like Allen does very, very well in hell. And a guy like Donald does very, very well in hell. So, not a big surprise. A guy like Brian, not so much. I would say I was there the day he did his Saturday Night Live fun. And actually, it wasn't that day. It was way over here. Oh, you don't even see it on these charts. Isn't that pathetic? Anyway, over here on Saturday Night Live, and he didn't say one damn thing about his Dogecoin, and yet it was a total and complete trap. And frankly, he has the ethics of a piece of shit. Having said that, that was this. And the son of a bitch didn't say anything. Nothing. Thankfully, actually, it was Julian's idea, so give him a shout out. It was kind of like, Brian, don't you think maybe we should take some profits? You're long from nothing. So I took 50 G's out of this coin. So 6 to 1, half dozen the other. Son of a bitch didn't say anything. And that's what I have a horrible, horrible time with. And he did exactly the same thing on his stock as well. I suppose you can argue, yeah, he's Mr. Wonderful and smarter than a whip, but he has the ethics of a piece of shit. So anyway, and that is speaking from, I literally watched this play out right in front of my eyes through this, and he didn't say a single word. And every time his silly stock goes zooming up, does he say anything about, maybe it wouldn't be a good idea for you to buy my stock up here? You're kind of walking into a trap. Did he say anything? Nothing. In fact, well, and you know what? I'm just going to leave it at that, Andre. I don't even need to explain myself anymore. If you don't like it, I don't give a shit. You don't have to watch this channel. It's here nor there to me. I'm just going to tell you exactly how I feel. So anyway, it is what it is. Okay, somebody wanted me to look at Amazon, and I suppose we'll do that, and I'll send you on my way. On your way. I will say, God, I saw the earnings number come out of Goog on Friday, and these tech stocks, I think these corrections, I think they're basically setting up the next bull. The earnings numbers coming out of here, pretty damn steep. So I guess you could argue with all of these gaps. This is another reason why I'm a little bit skeptical about this bull run here in the near term. These gaps will need to be filled in. So anyway, I suppose you could argue on something like Goog, there's a big old hole up top. And there's also, if we do Foggenbaums off of this W, because it's now confirmed. So notice we have David O's Foggenbaum up here. But my hunch is by the end of this rally, wherever it takes us, I think we head up into this 4669. So notice that. And then also notice, our rally peak, we're expecting it to come around the end of the summer. So I'd probably be looking for that peak to come in somewhere around there. And of course, we know that Bitcoin's peak, of course, is supposed to come in here late September, early October. So I might draw a trend line there, and I might draw a trend line there. And there you have a target window. And I've often suggested to people, and I hate to say it, again, if you like the guy, great, go and do your thing. I might argue that Goog, or what the hell is this damn thing, Tesla, I think it could very easily challenge its old highs. It'd be interesting to do a Foggenbaum off of this bottom here. Yeah, there you go. So 4669's also painting a rally up top, and notice, oh, hello. Oh, there's a cute little price gap. Actually, there's a couple of them up here. So just like the Goog I showed you a second ago, I think you could make the argument Allen will probably see these levels traded to. Look at that, right in that 4669. So anyway, it is what it is. Okay, I will. Thank you very much, Chris. You're supposed to be asleep, though. So what the fuck are you doing out of bed? Keep in mind that these people, anyway, let's move on. Okay, somebody asked me to look at Amazon. Oh, well, there's a big W trying to form. So the problem is, though, look at all these damn price gaps. This is me going, I don't know. And if anything, you know what I think's gonna happen here? But this is opinion, right? So I mean, nobody can predict the future. Impossible. You can trade your setups, but keep in mind, 60 to 70% of the time, your setup should get busted out. So that means, no, did I say that right? Should be the other way around. 60 to 70% of the time, you should shoot for success. 30 to 40% of the time, you should expect your setups to get blown out. And actually, it was interesting. I was over at Top Step, my old prop firm, the other day, and this guy was just an absolute monster trader guy, just trading up a storm. And then somebody asked him, hey, so what's your success rate? What's your odds of success? And he goes, 35%. So go figure, eh? So it just goes to show the floor traders, they're happy with getting stopped out even more than 50% of the time. The question I would have for you, though, is actually, this would be a good opportunity for you to interact with me. What has to happen when that guy is right 30, 40% of the time? Something must have to happen. What is it? And this is the key. In fact, I was trying to explain this to somebody the other day, and I don't know whether they really believe me or not. I think they're relatively new to trading, so they still don't get it. You're not shooting to be right all the time, because you'll never be right all the time. It just won't happen. All right, let's see. Except Tia Bella, perhaps. Okay, not quite sure what that means. 2-to-1 risk rewards. Well, at minimum, right? In fact, Lucy, if this is the Lucy I'm thinking of, I think I even said to you, why not shoot for 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1? If you have 5-to-1 risk reward setups, how often do you have to be right just to break even? And this is the key. So if you have a 5-to-1 risk reward setup that you absolutely love, like things like megaphones produce 5-to-1 risk rewards quite often. And it's 5-to-1, and then this is just what I do every single damn setup. You could be stopped out 4 out of 5 trades and you still make money. Maybe. And if you're right, like say 3 out of 5, maybe 2 out of 5, you still make tons of money. Anyway, so what do we got here? Somebody asked me to look at this, and then we'll head over to their Q&A document. So first and foremost, pretty steep trend line off the top there, right? So if you're a bull, you love to see that. Remember the Bitcoin story: V tops, V bottoms, V tops need to be tested. So I would argue, and you've all seen what my expectation for the stock market is through the middle half of the year. I think this stock market is going to go fucking crazy here, folks. I hope you're ready for it. And of course, also too, this is the end of our 4-year Bitcoin cycle, so I hope you're ready for that. And I wouldn't even be surprised if you actually start hearing the Fed talk a little bit more dovish. This whole, in fact, actually, the headline that I posted in the room this morning was talking about how Besant is saying, well, we're pretty close to coming to a deal with China over tariffs. So boom, there you go. Soon as that drops, and it turns out we're all friends and we've made peace. Fucking stock market's going to go crazy. So very wide bottom, right? Very wide. Probably, a pretty big risk window for all of us to consider taking, but you might want to consider an option. That might not be a bad way to play this. Maybe even like a bull call spread. Buy the 210s and write the 240s. That's not a bad trade. Market should go to 210. And on that event, if you're lucky, you can actually, if we have do the net deltas, net cumulative delta, I should say, you might actually even be able to squeak out a double on the spread just on that jump back up against this high here. But at the same time, too, understand, we're at the 30 SMA. Interesting how we're at this longer term trend line support. That looks like that's pretty important level, eh? And you could also make the argument that we're probably in a reload zone. So boom, da boom, da boom, and boom. Yeah. So not a big surprise. It's not a bad shopping area. The only problem here, like I said, is oh boy, gaps everywhere. So if we look at like a 4-hour chart, this is just going to be a mess. So we actually opened up here but closed there. And this actually is a lower closing bar. What do we say about V bottoms and V tops? Is that a bottom? I don't think so. In fact, you know what that looks like? I hate to say it, but that looks like a head and shoulders. So shoulder, head, neckline, very interesting level there, right? My hunch here is there probably needs to be a shoulder down in that area there. And if we go back to a bar chart, oh, what a surprise. That's where all the gaps are. So is this something that I would trade right there? No. If it did come down here, though, and put in a nice polite W here, I would take a really good look at it. But that's about all I can say here. I'm sorry. So, oh, nice comment there, MM. Appreciate it. And hopefully that gives you some upside objectives to think about. We could probably also do reload zones up top. Yeah, so you can see 88.6. Into the late fall or late summer, early fall, I could very easily see the market right up here. That would not surprise me. But I think we have some traffic here in the near term. It is probably going to be a bit of a slog to get through. And if anything, if you are bullish, what you probably want to see is can I please get some sort of consolidation? Because this might set up a bullish bot, but just wait for those 3 higher lows, right? Just give me some sort of consolidation in here. Having said that, I think I would actually be looking for this scenario versus this. So, but either way, I would look for the pullback into reload zones and W's, hopefully on bullish divs to get your entry, or just look for the shallow pullback, but you really need to see 3 higher lows. And it also would help to have some bullish momentum confirmation. And ideally, you'd like these W's to come in on the other side of these trend lines. So notice boom, boom, boom. So we've broken that trend line. Now what we really need to see is we need to see those W's. All right, cool. All right, and is that the bot you were thinking about? This right in here? Great analysis, appreciate it. Okay, well, I hope that helps. And I hope that's the bot you were kind of thinking of. You got to get some sort of consolidation in here. Now, that doesn't mean market will do any old damn thing it wants. This fucker might just go ving, ving. And if that's the case, well, we missed the trade. There's nothing you can do. You're asking me what I would do to be hunting for a trade setup? That's what I would do. All right. Take a quick look at this. What was this? I seem to remember we were talking about this a while ago. Right? Albemarle, New York City, New York. Oh, wow. Pretty chart. Cheap. Damn cheap. Hasn't W'd yet though. Hey, this is kind of like Amazon kind of thing. You know, it's I like how cheap this is, but I don't think that this is bottomed and it's got gaps in here. So it wouldn't surprise me. Keep in mind, this is a 4-hour chart. It wouldn't surprise me if this is like an A to B, and then C to D. But now to get this set up, I think you're actually going down to like lower time frames. So yeah, something like that. So if I drill down to like a 30-minute chart, there it is, right? 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows. You can see how it's setting up. So whoever was asking me to look at this Albemarle, hopefully you can see that. That's if I was going to trade this, there's your trade right there. It's pretty straightforward. Buy 57.60, stop just below whatever this low is. 55.37 and live with the results. So, all right, PM. Hopefully that helps. That's actually a pretty chart. I'll post that in the lounge, just so if you are a member maybe you can consider joining to go and get that chart and the levels. Higher time frame, still think it needs to do some work. If this thing does crap out here, you can see the gaps all down below, big old gap right there. And your long-term trend line, like real long-term value support off of this chart, is that right there. So what do you think the odds are? This is a reload zone. Keep in mind, this is not actually broken out yet. So you'd want to see this breakout, bust this high, and then that would be A, B, C, D, up into that bot level. And then I think you can actually get ready for a serious correction. Right now, it looks like the bulls have the ball. You see the broader market. It looks like it's pointing up. I would just go with that. But if this thing craps out and M's out here, maybe just walk away. Okay, let's head on over to that AMA document. Couple questions in there, and then I will send you all on your way. And if you want to sit and think some positive karmic wishes for the level 3ers who I sent the level 3 exam out 2 days ago. So I hope you are studying and writing your final exams, but also too, best wishes and best thoughts for Lily. Okay, where was I? Chris, I need to go Chris, and then I need to go AMA. Boosh. Boosh. All right, let's see what we got here. Gotta run, BB. Prayers to you and Liam for a great day. Drive safely. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All those karmic wishes, I think, actually do make a difference. So I appreciate it. Thank you, PM. Hugs and kisses. All right, let's zoom down to the bottom. All right, maybe that's too far. There we go. All right. I guess somebody decided to double space this because of my bad eyesight. Okay, with the whole tariff situation, are there any countries out there that can be beneficial for themselves? For example, Trump has met with El Salvador regarding tariff. Yeah, Trump's met with El Salvador and said, look, for every illegal migrant that I ship off to your country, I'll pay, please pay me $1 million. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of under the table deal between these two. Would not surprise me at all. And of course, this again, fucking ethics. This is horrific what this guy's doing. And now, ironically enough, some federal judges are now being arrested because the federal judges are like, oh, fuck, this guy's gone crazy. You know what? I know you're an illegal migrant. I know you got a tough case, but this son of a bitch is going to send you off to some fucking El Salvador jail and you're just going to be lost in there for the rest of your life. So I'm just going to sneak you out the back door. Boom! Now the judge is going to be sent off to El Salvador. That'd be really interesting to see these old stoogey Caucasian judges sitting in El Salvador jail cells and surrounded by all those MS-13 guys. Oh, fuck me. Oh, this world. Anyway. Yeah, okay. So I think I spoke to this stuff last week. So let's head on to here. Number one, hi, Brian. In relation to the dollar index, once it turns around and carries on its dollar bull run, do you think the world becomes more chaotic in terms of political stability? For example, the Ukraine, Russia, and Middle East, Israel, Palestine, Sudan, etc. Wouldn't these countries want stability in order to be able to negotiate their own deals with the U.S.? Ongoing wars would not help with their growth, right? How would you go about settling with with these wars with a relatively balanced economic and peaceful deal between all of these countries? All right, first and foremost, we all know that Israel basically has a blank check with the United States of America. So it doesn't really matter what the Israelis do. They could murder half of the Middle East and they still would get whatever they want with the United States of America. So, and if anything, it's interesting And, this is actually what's going to get me put on an airplane to El Salvador, is to watch Mr. Trump just absolutely go insane on these people that showed up for anti-Israeli protests on, say, like the University or New York City University, NYU, how like one by one, and this is how methodical the Israelis are. And I wouldn't be surprised if, as I speak, all of a sudden tape recorders inside the Mossad just all of a sudden clicked record. And there, actually, I could even feel it. There's even a crosshair appearing on my forehead here if you look in the camera closely. Well, there it is. You can see it. It's moving around. So quite literally, they could off me at any second. So, and then on the other side of it, the Palestinians don't even have a friend. They don't even have one fucking friend in this world. I might argue that, you piss off a lot of people, the old adage, right? You get more bees with honey than with vinegar. And I think that the Palestinians, and of course they are a puppet of Iran and Hamas and all that crap. I don't think they've done themselves any favors with the way they've set themselves up. And at the same time, too, is there any real solution to this problem? I mean, haven't these people in the Middle East literally been fighting for thousands of years with each other? And, even people saying peace in the Middle East, that's a misnomer unto itself. In fact, according to the book of Revelations, we're supposed to see a European army, and I could very easily see, it looks like Europe is now coalescing, and now they've convinced the Germans to actually go and start spending money. I think actually you're going to see the advent of a European army actually start to form. And the book of Revelation says that the end of the world comes when a European army heads down and occupies the Middle East. And frankly speaking, with the way that the Israelis have been acting and the absolute over-the-top murder that they've been doing, and I don't know, is it justified? And I'll leave that up to you. I could very easily see one day in the not too distant future, the Europeans say, look, the only way that we can ensure some sort of peace in this region is we got to park like 1 million troops down in the Middle East and just absolutely flood the place. I actually would argue that that's what you had to do. And that's what you should have done in Ukraine, is literally the Europeans, the Americans, even the bloody Chinese should have parked like 5 million troops in, I don't know, the Donbass region, and just said, look at Russia, no more fighting. Look how many fucking troops we have here. You can't win this. Go away. And that the war would have ended instantly. But that's just Brian's take on this. So I don't think, these people have been fighting with each other forever, and that will never change. And frankly speaking, doesn't really make a difference whether the US dollar is going up, the US dollar is going down. This is always going to stay the same. Sudan, that's an absolutely awful civil war that's been raging for years, and Africa is known for absolutely horrific humanitarian conditions. So to see this go on for the rest of my lifetime won't make any difference whatsoever. So we just knocked off 3 of your points here. Ukraine, Russia. You're asking my opinion. It won't make any difference whether the US dollar index is going up or down or sideways. The Ukrainians, they were given their freedom there with the Velvet Revolution. I don't think Russia ever liked the idea of losing Ukraine. It's sort of like the crown jewel. It would be like if the United States fell into civil war and Texas said, you know what, we're our own country, screw you. Obviously, at some point down the road, if the United States sort of reformed itself, it would want Texas back in the fold. And I think that's basically what's going on with Ukraine. The question here is, do you believe in these countries having autonomy and having their own free will and being their own free nations? Obviously, Mr. Putin has clearly different ideas about that. And also, too, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Ukraine is stunningly corrupt. I mean, you think I'm barking about corruption and Donnie? Oh, God, you haven't seen anything with regard to Ukraine and corruption. So you can't say that Ukraine is completely innocent in all of this. They are both equally at fault, I would argue. Having said that, Russia did throw the first punch. And, the sooner that these two entities just sort of come to some sort of peaceful revolution or resolution, the better for everybody. But I don't think it makes any difference whether the US dollar is going up or the US dollar is going down or whatever, whether these countries are at peace or at war. I think you could clearly make the argument that the Bidens were hip deep in this Ukraine sort of new nation. So they were not going to just walk away from their very lucrative investments in Ukraine utilities. So it makes perfect sense why Biden would take the attitude that he was. I'm not necessarily agreeing with Mr. Trump, and frankly speaking, I don't think any of us on the outside know any of his intentions. It has been talked about that Vladdy has waved in front of Donnie's eyes, high-rise buildings with Trump names on them as a payment for brokering some sort of peace deal here. But at the end of the day, none of us in the public are going to really know what's going on in behind the scenes. Like I said, most of the Canadians here, they don't even realize that the guy that's standing on the liberal pulpit saying he's going to fight Donald Trump with every tooth and nail is actually in bed with Donald Trump to the tune of $1.1 billion. So it's all bullshit. Everything that you see in the public, everything you see in the media, and then finally, how are we supposed to tell when politicians are lying to us? So I don't even know if any of us in the public even really know what's actually going on with Russia and Ukraine. But I will say a hell of a lot of humans have had to sacrifice their lives. And it makes me sick to my stomach. All the death and destruction that really, it's just because of these people's egos. And Eastern European men, oh my goodness, do they have egos? Makes you shake your head. So, all that said, I don't actually think it makes a rat's ass difference whether the dollar index is going up or dollar index is going down. I do believe that the US dollar index is still, and not the dollar index, but the dollar itself is still the world hegemony. I don't see that changing anytime soon. I definitely think that we're going to go through a massive hyperinflationary wave in 27, 28. So you better get ready. And I think that comes on Jay Powell retiring. I don't think he'll be fired, and I don't think anybody expects him to be fired. I think Donnie's just doing Donnie things, blowing smoke up your ass. And of course, trying to manipulate the public through the media. It makes for great TV. You've heard him say that before. So all this bluster about being able to fire Donnie, I think Trump's full of shit. And I think the market is told him that he's full of shit. And now all of a sudden, Trump's like, oh, no, I didn't say that. Oh, no, I love Jerome. I think he's awesome. Whatever. But after Jay's done his term, there's a rule in the market that says every new Fed governor is tested. So I distinctly expect that the market is going to test whoever this new Fed governor is that's appointed the end of 2026, beginning of 2027. And I think the market is going to shit its collective pants. So there you go. Yeah, so you can see Lucy already there is already making a case for the Russian side of the argument. And I'm not going to touch that. What I am going to say, though, is neither side is completely innocent in either side of this. So anyway, second question here, and hopefully that answers your question, but I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. It's just my direct answer to your question. 2027, 2028, when there's a new FOMC Fed governor, that's when you should expect this shit to hit the fan. Until then, I think we're all right. Hey, Brian, have you delved into the bond market in the level 1 through 3? I think of all the different markets, i.e. futures, stocks, crypto, options, etc. Bond market is the only one I know the least. Is it equally important as the others? Could you go into it in the daily briefs? Thanks, Brian. Oh boy. I would actually argue that the bond market is the most important market out of all markets, other than maybe the currency markets. They always say the currency markets lead everything, but the currency markets, especially these fiat currencies, they are nothing more than like literally one day bonds. Like you could argue a dollar bill that you hold in your hand, or one British pound, or one Chinese loonie, or one, I guess, euro, I guess, for that matter. It is nothing more than actually an IOU of whatever the backing currency is. Or backing country. And you buy their currency to buy their short-term debt instruments, which are bonds. You can buy short-term debt instruments. You can buy very long-dated debt instruments. They're all bonds. They might call them T-bills, treasury bonds, promissory notes, linked notes, but they're all basically fixed income bonds, convertible bonds, preferred shares. They're all technically fixed income instruments, and they are much, much more and much bigger than any stock market around. This is kind of an open-ended question, though. I mean, where do you want to take the conversation? If anything, whoever asked this question, I think this is probably actually a really good sort of lecture / educational segment for tomorrow's daily brief that's behind the paywall, and that we'll do. And usually I sit and talk to you guys for 2 or 3 hours. And I want you, whoever asked this question, to go into a little bit more detail. Specifically, what are your questions? Because I mean, I could sit here and talk yield curve. I could sit here and talk relative size. I could sit here and talk credit quality. I could sit here and talk different types of fixed income instruments and where they fall on sort of the investment spectrum. Of course, you all know that theoretically, financial planner in me, you should take your age, subtract that from 100, and that should be your maximum equity risk / risk exposure. And the rest of your assets should be in either bonds or fixed income instruments of one form or another. So whoever asked this question, I would like for you to maybe spend some time this afternoon, if you watch this, and give me a question 1, and then B question 2, and then 3. We'll even give you 3. And anybody can come in here if you're curious about the bond market. Clearly articulate what are your questions. What specifically are you asking? And I'll be more than happy, like I said, to go in greater detail in the video tomorrow and speak directly to your questions. All right? Cool. All right. I think I'm going to leave it at that. It is 1:35, and I have to pick the boy up at 2. So I hope you had yourself a good video lecture here with the old man today. Hopefully you got some value out of this. Of course, Many a fireworks going to go off here in my country tomorrow. We'll find out whether the communists have a further foothold, and China could very easily turn into a war zone here over the next 4 or 5 years, or whether the capitalists prevail and freedom and liberty carry the day. No idea how this is going to go. All I will know is it will be whatever it is. All right. Have yourselves a great rest of your day. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins a race. Try not to take any of those wooden nickels. And the only thing left for good old Brian to say to you good people is bye for now. All right, where's the stop button? It's around here somewhere.